Donamun Gate Changdeokgung Palace. After all the palaces were destroyed by fire during the Japanese invasion Imjin War in 1592, the King Gyeongbokgung rebuilt Changdeokgung Palace first in 1610, Nakseonjae Palace. Since then, the Changdeokgung Palace had been used as primary palace for about 258 years. In September 2018, as the highest honor for the Indonesian president, who visited Korea as a state guest, a welcome party for state guests was held at Injeongjeon Hall at Changdeokgung Palace. These are the first buildings you could see when you enter Donamun Gate. Gyeongbokgung is the largest building in this block. It's kind of royal library and academic institution. Gyeongbokgung was the annex building of Gyeongbokgung, which was in charge of reading and proofreading books. It was located in a scenic spot overlooking Gyeongbokgung Stream. It seems the working environment was good here. These are buildings for the book storage. The government offices located inside the palace were called Borgaksa. On the east side of the Gyeongbokgung Stream, just next to Injeongjeon Hall, were Yakbang, Hongmungan, and Imungan. On the west side were Gyeongbokgung, Gyeongmadang, and Gyeongseong. The closest to the king, there's Hongmungan, which advised on state affairs, was located in front of them. These buildings were all demolished during the Japanese colonial period and were restored between 2000 and 2004. Yakbang, Bureau of Royal Physicians. Yangjidang, King's Chamber for Ancestral Right. Kumtungil Bridge. When you enter Donamun Gate, the first door you see is Dinsunmun Gate. This is the main gate of Injeongjeon Hall, which best preserves the dignity and formality of the palaces of the Joseon Dynasty. Several kings of the Joseon Dynasty, King Taejong, Gyeongjong, Sukjong, and Yeongjong, held coronation ceremonies and ascended the throne here. It is a place where important national ceremonies were held, such as ceremonies for courtiers and receptions for foreign envoys. The courtyard, the yard for ceremonies, is spread out in front, and it is connected to Bukhansan Mountain in the back. It's two-story building on the second tier. It looks magnificent, but it is low in height and has no railings. So, it is simple compared to Injeongjeon Hall in Gyeongbokgung Palace. Injeongjeon Hall looks like a two-story building, but it is actually a one-story building with a splendid and high ceiling. The sun and moon were drawn, and the 5 mountains and peaks signified the territories. Iror or Iror Obongdo symbolizes the royal authority. It was always carried around the king's back, and when the king died, it was buried together in the tomb. In 1907, King Taejong moved from the Nakseonjae Palace to here at Changdeokgung Palace. There were changes such as changing the stone floor to wooden floor and installing light bulbs, etc. Changdeokgung Palace represents the atypical formative beauty of Korea. It was registered as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1997. In that the original form was best preserved among the palaces of the Joseon Dynasty, and the harmonious arrangement with nature contained the Korean sentiment. Injeongjeon Hall. It's the king's office. Likewise, the king's painting, The Vivid Colors of Iror Obongdo, is hung. There's a bronze bowl on the corner that holds water to prevent fire. The surrounding buildings were used as secretarial and accessory rooms, but it was much cramped for state affairs. A porch was installed in the front door, so that passengers can get in and out of the car. Originally, Injeongjeon Hall, which was a side hall, was cramped, so Injeongjeon Hall, which was a sleeping quarters, replaced that function. It was the building where the king stayed most of the time. The interior of Injeongjeon Hall was decorated in Western style, including wooden floors, carpets, and glass windows. Daejeon was the living space of the queen, as the bed chamber of Changdeokgung Palace. Gyeongbokgung Hall is where the last shameful and humiliating conference, which handed over sovereignty to Japanese imperialism, was held in 1910. It has been renovated and the last aspects of the royal life are relatively well preserved. Bocheonjeong is a pavilion attached to Seongjongak of Changdeokgung Palace. Bocheon means to announce spring, and Haeleru means to rejoice at the end of drought. Nakseonjae. It is located on the border of Changdeokgung and Gyeongbokgung Palace. Nakseonjae was built in 1847 by King Taejong, the 24th king of the Joseon Dynasty, for his concubine Kim. Unlike other buildings in the palace, there is no color painting. Its simple but luxurious appearance without color painting. Gyeongbokgung Gate. Nakseonjae, was often used as king's office by King Taejong. In particular, after the Gapsan coup in 1884, the King Taejong designated Nakseonjae as his office and received ministers and foreign envoys there. Then, the last king of the Joseon Dynasty, Lee Yun, lived from 1963 to 1970. Seokbokgung is the residence of concubine Gyeongbokgung Kim. It was very unusual at the time also to build Nakseonjae inside the palace for a concubine. The King Taejong passed away 2 years after building Nakseonjae. In Nakseonjae, King Taejong's wife Bangja lived there until 1989. Thus, it is a space where you can feel the traces of people in the palace. The backyard of Nakseonjae. In particular, Nakseonjae is a truly beautiful building that maximizes the beauty of wood itself. These buildings are connected to Nakseonjae from Changdeokgung Palace. There's museum and a famous coffee house near Donamun Gate, the main entrance to Changdeokgung Palace.